Vodka, tequila, whiskey, and beer. They'll give you a headache. Don't you fear.
Get your damn eggs, bacon, and coffee. It's Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition. Drag your sorry ass out of bed.
Taping here on March the 22nd. This, of course, hits Saturday morning, March the 25th, your weekend hangover cure. He's the conquistador, Dave Hynde.
He's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
And, of course, we will talk music. We will talk movies, TV, streaming, books, dumbasses, moments of silence, everything you expect from a great and glorious weekend edition episode. But, of course, you know, we always start off with rock and roll. I have very big news for the conquistador.
Huge!
But first, we have 3 songs to review. Now, we had to stretch our rules a little bit. Normally, we don't review cover songs or re-recorded versions of past hits.
But this was kind of a barren week in rock.
Yeah, I thought we were over, with December and January. I thought we were through the dry patch, but I guess I was wrong.
No, their music is doing what network TV does during March Madness and abandoning releasing anything new.
Yeah, we're still at least 3 weeks out from Metallica's new album, 72 Seasons, so we will do the best we can. The Conquistador brought up some suggestions we're working on for next week. We'll talk about one of those here in a little bit. But for now, the 3 songs we've got, we do have the brand new single from Matchbox 20.
Who we will be seeing in concert
in
this
August.
Summer, in August. So
the new album, of course, is coming out here in a few months. We'll review it for you. Where the Light Goes, coming out May the 26th.
Yep, this single, Wild Dogs.
Subtitled Running in a Slow Dream.
Yes.
I always love
the subtitled song.
Jesus. Just call the song
Wild Dogs. Just leave it at that. Don't be pretentious.
Now, of course, this will be the first full album of new material from Matchbox 20 in a decade. Again, why does it take so long? Why does it take so long to put out new music? I mean, I know Rob Thomas does his solo stuff, but still,
come on.
All right, so this is an okay song.
It's got a poppy beat
Very
that I'm
poppy.
like, ugh. But the lyrics are kind of cool.
Yeah, yep.
The lyrics, to me, override the musical part of it.
Yeah, I don't hate it. And you might call this blasphemy, but I will say this. Especially the chorus. The more I listened to the song and I heard the chorus, it sounded a little bit like the last album from Roger Clyne and the Peacemakers.
I kind of got that vibe too.
Because, of course, they went a little poppy in their last album years ago with Native Heart.
Yeah.
I agree with you completely. Sound-wise, very poppy. Another band that we talked, I'm not trying to draw parallels necessarily to Godsmack and Matchbox 20, but another band, first couple albums they put out, had a little bit more of an edge, a little bit more dark lyrics, and then they got more poppy as they got older. And
so quit bagging on Nickelback because everybody's doing it.
And another band we're going to be seeing in August. But I agree with you. It's a tolerable song. It's passable. It is a little poppy, a little bit saccharine.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of the music, like you said, the almost electronic drum beats.
Yeah.
And the The only time that's ever worked is Steve Miller Band.
Exactly.
Take the money and run.
Just let it go.
Hoo-hoos
Let
don't
it
work.
go.
They don't work unless you're Motown or the Steve Miller Band. So that being said, I'll give it a 2.5. 2.5 frenzies.
That's exactly where I'm at with it.
Yeah.
Like I said, the music, but lyrically, I love it.
And that's Rob Thomas. Rob Thomas is a great songwriter.
He is.
So I'll give him credit for that. So yeah, we're simpatico on that. So let us move on to a trend that I thought was long gone and dead.
That I'd hoped was long gone and dead.
And it is not. It is back again. We've seen it with Kiss and Metallica, kind of like 20, 30 years ago with Unplugged on MTV. Everybody had to do an Unplugged album.
Yeah.
And then it became, let's
get
hard
an
rock band.
orchestra
And again,
to come in.
We thought it was done. We thought it was over. It's not done. It's not over because our boys in Def Leppard,
working with the Royal Philharmonic.
Full album, Drastic Symphonies, out May the 19th. The lead-off release is the orchestral version of Animal.
I was really disappointed with this. Most of the time, the orchestras at least make an attempt to mimic the sound. The music wasn't anywhere close to matching up with the lyrics. It was near the end where they finally started to feel like the song.
Well, I agree, because I'm going to call bullshit on Def Leppard, because when I saw the initial release on this, and I read the press release and Joe Elliott talking about this, and they said, "Oh, we recorded all new vocals for this." Bullshit. You called it. You just called it.
Exactly like the original Animal lyrics, set to and not anywhere close to the music symphony.
That's why I'm glad you brought that up, because that's where I'm calling them bullshit
crap
on them for saying, "Oh, we redid all of this." It sounds like it's layered.
It is
like
completely layered,
and
it's not even close.
And the symphony orchestra layered on top of it.
Yeah,
I agree with you. I didn't like it at all. I will give it. I hate to do this. I'll give it 1.5. I was going to go week 2, but the more I think about it, I feel a little bit deceived. So I'll go 1.5 frenzies.
I was with you initially with a week 2, but as we talk, it becomes a week 1.5.
Yeah. Yeah. So
we are
I don't know
on a roll.
I don't know if we're going to be reviewing Drastic Symphonies or not. It goes against our rules to begin with.
Yeah. And this is why.
Yeah.
This is a complete
Again, you don't have to follow trends, especially a trend that was supposedly played out 5 or 6 years ago after Kiss and Metallica had already done it.
Yeah. Just let it go.
So we're going to break our rules again.
Yep.
For our third single this week, we've talked about David Lee Roth has been playing around in the studio with a band. He's been doing a whole lot of old Van Halen cover songs or redoing them with this group of musicians, and I've been listening to them, and they're fine. But now he's put out a whole bunch of cover songs, and he decided to release his cover of Ain't That Peculiar. I will say this. This song would have fit perfectly on the original EP he put out, Crazy from the Heat, along with California Girls.
Exactly.
Just a Gigolo. This song would have been a perfect fifth track.
This song for his vocals is perfect.
and I'm going to say this, and I'm not going crazy, kids. I'm giving it 2.5 frenzies, but bear with me.
That's where I'm at. We'll get the rating 2.5 is where it is.
Out of the 3 songs here, I say this is the best of the 3 because it's fun. You mentioned the fact that his voice sounds better than I've heard in a long time.
Yeah.
He sounds at ease. He sounds comfortable. He's not trying to redo the old Van Halen stuff.
No, he's
the screaming and the yelling.
He's staying within his range, and he sounds really good on this one.
Yes. And again, this is just a fun cover song that the first thing I thought was this should have been the 5th track on Crazy from the Heat.
Yep. So
with all those other cover songs he was doing on that.
Yeah, and it goes with he makes peculiar choices on what songs he's going to do. So this lines up, but it's perfect for him.
Yeah. So nothing out of the 3 songs this week that's absolutely devastatingly fantastic. Like last week, we had a bunch of great stuff.
Yeah.
But
this week it's mediocre, sucks, but I will say Ain't That Peculiar is probably the strongest.
Agreed completely. Now in music news in general, first off, I'm just happy locally we might actually have a new music venue. Dave and I talked about it at our casino.
Yep.
Here in northern Indiana. Now, unfortunately, if you guys know how casinos work when it comes to booking artists, they overcharge.
Because they have a smaller venue, so they're going to charge probably twice as much as you should be paying.
So, of course, first 2 shows, one I didn't care less about. That would be Sister Hazel. But Lou Gramm, of course, legendary vocalist from Foreigner is coming, but you're not going to be able to get in the door after fees for less than, what, $85, $90 minimum?
Minimum 90.
Yeah.
And for Lou Gramm, who's just doing Foreigner's greatest hits, not worth that. Not at this point.
Since we're going to see Foreigner anyway.
Exactly.
Can't wait for those lawn passes to get here.
Let's go.
Yeah, we're still a couple weeks away from that, I think, though. All right. Before I spring my big music news on you, I am going to get this out of the way right now. We got plenty of time here in segment 1. I have my 2 weekend edition Clint Eastwood badasses, both in the world of music. And they are the farthest thing you would think when I mention them from a badass.
But wait for it.
Number 1, The Cure. The Cure's leader, Robert Smith. He has the balls. Believe it or not, yes, I am saying the lead singer of The Cure has balls. With his crazy hair and his white face
and the
makeup,
deep dark mascara on the eyes.
Has more balls than Bruce Springsteen ever fucking had. Because you know what Robert Smith did?
What did he do?
The Cure is going out on tour.
Yep. I have people that I work with who were trying to get tickets to see them on multiple computers and were unable to get logged in.
Which has been a consistent problem with Ticketmaster lately. But as we were talking about Lou Gramm, we've been talking about other shows we're thinking about going to see. And again, outside of our lawn passes, our magical lawn passes, where the fees are still 30, 35, 40% of the ticket prices. Robert Smith of The Cure on this tour that they're going on said, enough is enough, Ticketmaster. You are charging too much when it comes to fees for our fans to come see us. You're going to refund some of those fees back. and he got some other people online petitions going. He forced Ticketmaster to refund anywhere between $5 and $10 per ticket back to the consumers.
It's a start. It's a start. Kudos to him for having the balls to stand up to those
And again,
money-grubbing bastards.
Bruce Springsteen goes, oh, well, you know,
Deal
with it. Oh, if you don't like the show, you can get your money back. That's not the point, Bruce. The point is there is no fucking show in the world worth $3,000.
You can kiss my hairy white ass.
The show might be great, but I'm still not paying $3,000 a ticket to see it. That's the point, Bruce. It's not, well, if the show's not great, you can ask for a refund. Yeah, I wonder how many people took him up on that.
I sure as hell would have.
But for him to get shown up after him condoning the dynamic ticket pricing, and then after everything that happened with the Taylor Swift situation, for Robert Smith and The Cure to be the ones to tell Ticketmaster, fuck you, give some money back to our fans, you're charging too much for these tickets. Good for him. Can't believe I'm saying this about a guy with mascara and pancake makeup and spiky black hair.
Dude,
he's
look
a badass.
at all the frickin' bands that we love and go see.
Yeah, I'm talking about Nikki Sixx and Motley Crue, right?
And Poison and Cinderella and Dokken. And
but even they couldn't pull this off.
They couldn't pull
Robert
it off.
Smith is a badass. Now, my other music, weekend edition badass. This is, I can't believe I'm doing this. First, I'm praising The Cure, who, you know, if I listen to The Cure, I feel like I've got to turn in my man card. Now, I am going to praise somebody who I have ripped on for being in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, for standing up to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I have said, strictly from a rock and roll point of view, we know they're putting in country artists, they've been putting in rap and hip hop, separate animal altogether. When it comes to strictly rock and roll, I have always said, I have a problem. We don't have Styx in, we don't have REO Speedwagon in, but somehow the Pretenders are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You know this, Dave. I've always said that band should not be in when the other ones are not.
Exactly.
Chrissie Hynde. Chrissie Hynde came out, the leader of the Pretenders, and basically called the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, well, since she's English, she called it total bullocks. She said it's a bunch of establishment backslapping. They don't care about rock and roll, and she wants nothing to do with it.
Good for her. I have a newfound respect for her now.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, it's very odd that I have been ripping on the Pretenders for years.
What did they do to piss her off?
Maybe she's like us, and she doesn't like what they're doing in terms of letting country acts in and letting hip-hop and rap in. Maybe she's saying, you're not about rock and roll anymore. You're not about rock and roll anymore.
Just change the name to the Music Hall of Fame if that's what you want.
And get out there and vote. You still got another month to vote.
My God.
For that 0.001% influence that the fan vote has.
Because you know the fans mean absolutely nothing to these pretentious assholes.
The more I think about it, the more pissed off I get. How are the fans not getting 15 to 20%?
How are we not getting a vast majority? The fans are the ones who buy the albums, who listen to the music, who support them by going to the concerts. The fans make the bands. Not these douchebag reporters,
Rolling Stone writers, and
reviewers, editors who have their heads so far up their own asses they can't tell you what time of day it is.
Yep. So don't forget to vote for your 0.01% of influence.
Because they don't care what you think.
All right, now it's time for my big news. My big music news.
Is it huge?
The only reason I get away with this is because, again, we're taping on Wednesday, the 22nd of March. The news just broke about 12 hours ago as we tape. Finally, we have confirmation and we have a leadoff single. Mammoth 2.
What?
Will be released August the 4th. The album art is out. It is a cool ass cover.
Wolfie, it's about damn time.
Track list has been released. And the first single, which we will be reviewing next week here on the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy 2.0, has been released today. Another celebration at the end of the world.
Woohoo!
The first single from Mammoth 2. We knew it was coming. We hoped Wolfgang was not lying to us, and he was not. He's got it done. It's finished. It's over. The video is out for this first song.
All right. Finally.
Yep. Little bit of a play on the video from the first album where he played all the instruments himself.
Yeah.
And they had all the different versions of him. Well, he does a little riff on that, very funny riff on that this time around for another celebration at the end of the world. I've already listened to it, obviously, a couple times. I will tell you this. There are people out there on the Van Halen websites ripping on it. I'm like, you can kiss my ass. It's an awesome song. It is an awesome song. It is at least as good as anything on the first album.
Having read stuff on that Van Halen site, they need to pull their heads out of their asses and open themselves up to different things.
They're stuck in the past.
They're way too damn stuck.
Yep.
And they need to get over themselves.
They still debate who's better, Dave or Sammy.
Jesus God, it's over. Let it go. Move on.
So, finally, in August, we will get Mammoth 2.
Thank God. It's about damn time.
Now, of course, I alluded to the fact that Dave is trying to find new stuff for us to listen to. So we have Mammoth for next week. We will also give a new band, a different band, a try.
Yep. The Cold Stairs. They popped up on Pandora as at the end of listening to Ain't That Peculiar when I was listening to review David Lee Roth's song for this week. So, got no right, catchy guitar riff, hooked me into wanting to do a deep dive on it, so we'll give you more next week.
Yep. And we're still debating, possibly, at some point, we're still looking at doing Black Star Riders, the full album, and then maybe down the road, the Cold Stairs.
Yep.
Again, because we
gotta find some new stuff, kids.
Yep. It's still going to be a while before we get the new Winger, and we've got to fill time.
We need to find new stuff that we like.
Yep.
We are not dinosaurs. We look for new things.
Just like you said with the people bickering on the Van Halen news desk about Sammy versus Dave.
Yep.
We've moved on from it. Still the greatest band of all time, in my opinion, but
both incarnations.
We've moved on. So, that'll do it. Segment 1 is over. Hope you enjoyed our rock and roll discussion, the news about Mammoth WVH, our 2 unlikely Clint Eastwood badasses of the week, Robert Smith and Chrissie Hynde. Never thought I would say that, but
go figure. All right. Movies coming up in our next segment.
Got a very fun little project we're doing here. Dave's got a movie review for you. But we are also going to count down independently between Dave and I the top 5 movies we are looking forward to this summer from Memorial Day to Labor Day. What 5 movies
are we looking forward to, or are we going to wind up seeing?
Which ones will actually drag us back, kicking and screaming, out to the theaters again?
There we go.
All right, kids, stay tuned. We will be right back. Hey, kids, ready for a blast of dairy goodness? Pick up Sports Frenzy 2.0 milk at your local grocery store. Remember, when you drink Sports Frenzy 2.0 milk, you're not only enjoying a healthy treat, you're helping to locate missing sports heroes of the past and present. Our cartons and jugs feature pictures of Peng Shui, Ryan Leaf, and Sammy Sosa as we do our part to find the lost icons of the last 30 years. And don't forget our special weekend edition chocolate milk containers, available on Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Casts, and wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, because they feature celebrities like Lindsay Lohan, Helen Hunt, and Jean-Claude Van Damme. Pick up a gallon today.
All right, kids. Sports Frenzy 2.0, the weekend edition, recording March 22nd, 2023, dropping the 25th Saturday morning. Let's all go to the lobby and get your snacks for Spotify, Google, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, Amazon, Audible, Apple, Overcast, Castbox, and Stitcher! With me, the conquistador Dave Hynde.
And me, the maestro Kevin Crane.
It's movie time, kids.
Yep, we're going to do something a little different here. We're going to have a little bit of fun here. Dave's got a review of a movie I talked about here a couple weeks ago, so we'll compare notes. But we're about a month out from the official start of the summer movie season. Of course, usually goes from Memorial Day to Labor Day. So,
yep. Of course, this weekend, as you're listening to it, John Wick 4 is in the theaters.
And that was my inspiration, I was like, man, how is this not a big, huge summer movie? But of course, now they kind of release these big movies anytime they see fit. But still, if you're of an age like Dave and I, you remember how excited and awesome
once you got May hit.
The summer movie season when you're out of school, all the big budget superhero,
action, adventure.
Yep, all the good stuff. So, Dave and I went through a list of all the big releases coming out, again, between Memorial Day and Labor Day 2023, and independently put them in order. We're going to give you each of us our top 5.
There's some good stuff, and there's a load of crap that's coming out.
It looks a lot weaker than I initially thought it was going to be.
Yeah, I'm not overly impressed with a lot of what's coming.
All right, so let's go from 5 to 1.
All right, let me start off with number 5. This is one that I know the family is going to drag me to see, that I know I'm going to have to see kicking and screaming.
Oh boy.
Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. It's Indiana Jones. It started when I was a kid. I have to see it through reluctantly.
Let's put it this way. It did not make my list. But I understand where you're coming from. I just think after, we've constantly joked and teased and ridiculed that scene from the 4th one
where with the refrigerator and the atomic bomb.
Yeah, the nuclear blast and the refrigerator scene just went to, that's where it jumped the shark for me.
Yeah, and I know this is one that I'm going to see reluctantly kicking and screaming.
And I'm not seeing anything from the previews that are really making me feel any better.
No, not at all.
Godspeed, Dave. Godspeed. I'll end up watching it whenever it hits streaming. I think it'll be a Peacock movie. I think it's Universal, so probably be a Peacock.
Maybe I can push it off to then, but I don't know.
I doubt it. My number 5 is an animated movie. I am putting at number 5 Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I did love the first movie. Now, of course, this is one of those checkbox Marvel movies where they're staying away from Peter Parker and going more into the Miles Morales type of mythology when it comes to Spider-Man. But the first one was fantastic. I really loved the first one. Into the Spider-Verse, I believe, was the first one.
Yep.
Very surprised by how much I liked it. So I would say number 5 on my list. Don't know if I'll go to the theaters to see it, but definitely will be looking forward to seeing it the minute it hits streaming or it comes out on Blu-ray. So my number 5, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
That is my number 4.
Oh, there we go.
So there we go. I enjoyed Into the Spider-Verse. And I know this is one the boys will want to see at some point. So there we go.
Fantastic.
All right.
So my number 4. You're going to hate me for this one. But again, I'm hearing this is the one last DC movie you've got to see. Even though Shazam has been a major turd at the box office, which I could have told everybody and anybody.
The first one was a turd.
These movies have not been made in the true spirit of Shazam. Oh my God, the first one was so good. We know people who have said they loved the first one.
Why?
And I'm like, I don't get it.
It blew goats.
Zach Levy in a big puffy suit.
No. Acting like a moron.
Does not shock me that the new Shazam movie has bombed, but Blue Beetle's coming out this summer. I don't care about Blue Beetle. Again, we're waiting for James Gunn's Superman is the next. It's where the next DC launch point is. But given the fact they're going to do the whole multiverse situation in The Flash, Michael Keaton coming back as Batman.
He can't drag me back in. Not to go see it.
My number 4 is, yes, the degenerate Ezra Miller as the Flash. I will put that at number 4 on my list.
I'm standing on my principalities. It's not in my top 5.
There you go.
All right, number 3. I love the series. Statham is my man. Meg 2.
Oh, God.
The Trench.
Oh, boy. Wow. Well, now you're talking about the books.
I love the books. The first movie was cheesy, but I kind of liked it.
Yikes.
I want to see how bad they demolish this one.
Yikes. Okay. That's another one that didn't make my list. So, yeah, I saw the first one. I wasn't really all that impressed. So.
Yeah, no, this instead of The Flash, I am going with Meg 2.
All right. My number 3 is at the tail end of the summer. This is one that's slipping right in before.
That's what she said.
Hey, settle down now. We're not talking about Queen Latifah here. We're talking about Denzel Washington as the Equalizer. I have loved the first 2 movies in this series. Yes, it is a far cry from the original CBS series way back in the day that we loved. And it is definitely a far cry from fat-ass Queen Latifah acting like she's the Punisher. Just an absolute travesty that they've even called that the Equalizer, let alone it's popular and keeps getting renewed. Just like
it's a checkbox.
Just like with the Magnificent Seven. Denzel Washington is smart enough to take an established property
and
make it his own
different
without it coming off as a checkbox project.
Which is why The Equalizer 3 is my number 2 for the summer.
There you go. Looking forward to this. Looking
forward to this.
Yep. So I got a feeling my number 1's not going to make your list, but let's go to number 2. That's probably your number 1.
Yes.
My
because
number 2.
I do not go where you go.
So my number 2 is probably the last great Marvel movie we're going to see in quite a while. And of course, Disney will take credit for, look at it. We're not dying out. You got to ignore Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. You've got to ignore the Eternals. You got to ignore all the bad reviews and the fact that Black Panther underperformed because it didn't have Chadwick Boseman. You got to ignore all that.
No. The only reason this is going to succeed is because James Gunn started this before Disney took over.
Exactly. 100% accurate and perfectly true. This will be the final great Marvel movie we'll see for quite a while because it was James Gunn's final work for Marvel before moving over to DC. And yes, we're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Can't wait for the soundtrack.
His swan song. His magnum opus, shall we say, for Marvel before jumping ship, because the rat ruined everything.
Yes, the rat has ruined everything. Comic book movies are in a state of flux right now. We've talked about DC. Again, they've got the optimism in the future with James Gunn coming in. Now, ironically, we're seeing the last possibly great Marvel movie coming out here this May. James Gunn's final work for Marvel, which is my number 2, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3.
Which is my number 1. Bringing us to what I know.
Because you hate Tom Cruise. You hate Tom Cruise so much. You're still bitter about the fact that he played Jack Reacher in 2 movies. But it's not a Jack Reacher movie. It still doesn't matter to you.
I never got into the Mission Impossible movies.
My number 1, Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. Cannot wait.
I'll eventually get around to seeing it.
I have loved every Mission Impossible movie to varying degrees. I will say 2 and 3 were a little weak. 1 is still one of my favorite movies of all time. And everything 4, 5, 6, this is of course 7. And then of course Dead Reckoning Part 2 next year will be 8. Will it be the last one? We don't know.
Probably not.
But Tom Cruise brilliantly created a different IMF agent in Ethan Hunt.
I don't have a problem with
staying true to the original TV show's format, all the tricks, while adding unbelievable death-defying stunts and set pieces. Dave and I completely disagree on this. He says he's going to watch it. You're not going to watch him. You never will because you hate Tom Cruise.
I will eventually get to it. I appreciated the first 3 that I saw. I'm just not gaga in love like you are.
I am gaga in love with them. I love them. And Lady Gaga, of course, sang the theme song for Top Gun Maverick.
That she did.
Which was overrated. Very overrated movie. Sorry. Definitely like the Banshees of Inisherin. A lot better than that.
A hell of a lot better.
When it comes to your Best Picture nominees.
Maverick was better than I thought it would be, but it still wasn't Best Picture status. It was like we said, it was a rehash of the first one combined with Iron Eagle.
That's all it was. Yep. all it was. And that doesn't make it a terrible movie, just made it, to me, a very disappointing movie, and I could not understand why everybody flocked to the theaters to go see that.
I misspoke. It was a combination Top Gun, Iron Eagle, Star Wars.
You know what? We do our sports show every week. We should really give a shout out to Iron Eagle for the great job he's been doing on the basketball games. Oh, wait, that's Iron Eagle. Never mind.
Yeah, never mind.
Stop trying to distract me from the point that you hate Tom Cruise. That the Mission Impossible movies are so good. Now, here's the thing. Now, you've got the family. You mentioned that. So, how many of these movies will you actually go to the theater to see? I'll say my top 4. I will go see I'll go by myself in the middle of the afternoon as a lonely old man.
There's probably at least 3 that will be seen in the theater.
I will go see all of them. I will wait on Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
I know we're going to Indiana Jones. I will drag them to Equalizer, and I know we're going to Guardians.
Yeah. Yep. And I am definitely going to see Dead Reckoning. I will be there as soon as humanly possible when I can get into the movie theater and keep people away from me. So probably have to wait a week so I can get a matinee where I can get some distance from humanity. All right. So there you go, kids. That is our weekend edition summer movie preview. Kind of fun.
Yep, not bad.
Not a terrible thing. Other movies, maybe interesting. See, now Fast and Furious 10, I am done with that series.
That is so over the top crap.
Yep. Everybody's all excited about Oppenheimer.
I could care less. I know the story. I don't need to see it again.
I love playing the game Gran Turismo. I don't want to watch the movie.
I don't. Yeah, exactly.
And then the one sleeper that I've got here on our list that we went through is The Last Voyage of the Demeter.
That one intrigues me.
Which, of course, is the ship that supposedly carried Dracula from Transylvania to the United States.
Yep, so, that intrigues me.
If it's done right.
If it's done right, it could be really good. I did watch the trailer for Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. All I will say is, based on the trailer, it looks absolutely worse than the Banana Splits. That is 2 minutes of my life wasted.
They are destroying one of the great childhood memories of my life, just like they did with the Banana Splits. Banana Splits, Winnie the Pooh.
They are not murderers.
Why do they have to destroy these wonderful memories from my childhood?
Because they have no original ideas and people are degenerate asshats.
There you go. There you go. So now, a couple weeks ago, I reviewed, because I had to do some content as the Conquistador was on vacation. So I reviewed God's Country, based on a short story.
Very short story.
By James Lee Burke. I let Dave borrow my copy, so we are going to listen to his take on it, and I will jump in whenever I see fit.
Yep. God's Country with Hynde Newton.
Used to be Thandie.
Thandie, now it's Thwandy. Whatever. A college professor in a small town, probably Montana, Idaho.
I think it's Montana.
Area.
Yeah.
Rural Montana. Very rural.
Yeah.
Has her place, and they took some liberties expanding upon it. It was originally in the short story a male professor So they kind of checkboxed a little bit, gave a deeper backstory on the character. 40-page short story into an hour and 40-minute movie. They had to take some liberties.
Right. Now, in the backstory they gave the character, I found that interesting because it has a tie-in again to Burke's works.
It does, very nicely tied in with his Louisiana tie-in. Very nicely done.
Yeah, because
I appreciated that.
Anybody who's read, and you should read, James Lee Burke should know
Dave
that
Robichaux novels.
The two main areas where he sets his books are the New Orleans area, New Iberia,
and
Louisiana.
Missoula, Montana.
Right. So that's where the connection comes from.
He started in Louisiana and has moved to Montana. So some nice homages to him in that regard. They did. The pacing was a little slow on the movie, but they did a nice job building up to the final confrontation. It was a little different. The main points were there, so I could appreciate that. It wasn't a bad interpretation. I didn't have a lot of problems. I will give it a solid 3 overall,
which is what I gave it. Yep.
So,
yeah. Now, when I gave you the movie, I believe I told you that I said this is probably the type of movie that should have been nominated for an Oscar because it does have all the things that Oscar voters typically like. But the one criticism I have, and it's not a big one because again, I'm giving it 3 as well, or I did. They made all the characters so unlikable, including the protagonist.
Yeah. You didn't care for anybody. She had her issues. You're like,
she was overbearing. Oh my God, she was overbearing.
Yeah. There was no reason to like her. The professor, of course, from the short story, you knew he was a douchebag.
Right.
There was no reason to like him at all. And the two main antagonists, you knew you weren't going to like them.
The one they tried to make likable.
They tried to give him some semblance of humanity, but
he's spineless because he follows the other one into the darkness, into bad actions, into bad behavior, without standing up to him until the very end.
Which
it's too
late.
It's too late at that point.
Yeah.
Maybe the sheriff to a point, but again, he was spineless
when it came down to it.
Right.
Or the acting sheriff.
Right. Sorry, the acting sheriff. Yeah. You're right.
The final actions I was good with, but the way it just kind of ended left me wanting.
Well, but I will say this. It's an abrupt ending, but so was the short story.
It was.
Now, the short story ended
with
way before what we got in the movie.
Yeah. Yeah, you got the next step.
You knew there was something coming, and then the story ends.
Yeah, this, you got the ending that you thought you were going to get from the short story. So you got a little bit more. It still felt a little anticlimactic.
I agree with that. And again, I thought it was really well done. It did the best possible job it could have done in expanding on the short story. And I think the fact they changed the main character from a male to a female,
I think it worked better. It did.
I think it did. Because you think she's vulnerable, but at the same time, with the additional backstory,
she's nowhere near vulnerable.
Right. So I think you and I saw eye to eye on it.
Yeah.
It's a solid movie.
It's worthwhile.
It's better than most of the crap out there.
Yeah, definitely.
Still not perfect. Again, I prefer to have a movie where I can root for somebody.
Yeah, this was hard to root for anybody.
Yeah.
So God's Country is worth watching.
It's not going to make you feel great about life when you're done.
No, but it's something to pass the time.
At least it's not Schindler's List. Where you want to jump off a bridge after you've watched it.
Or you just missed it because you're making out in the back of a theater with somebody.
Okay, Jerry. All right, Dave has got Literary Frenzy for us this week as well.
Yep, I do. The book this week, the latest from C.J. Box, the new Joe Pickett novel, Stormwatch. March blizzard after March blizzard backdrop this one, as Joe and his buddy Nate, along with newfound friend from the previous book, Geronimo Jones, try and work through a cryptocurrency conspiracy and some Chinese interactions with Wyoming governor. There's a lot going on with this one, along with a former FBI agent who has it out for Nate, trying to get him tied up with some domestic terrorist group that he's trying to create. There's a lot going on with this one, but it all actually makes sense and comes together. This is probably one of the faster paced books in the series. I enjoyed it. There's been a couple clunkers here and there, which you're going to have. This is not one of them. This is a solid 3 in the series. So, very much looking forward to things going forward.
Very nice.
Cannot go wrong reading the Joe Pickett from CJ Box.
And again, I keep pushing Dave to watch the series on Paramount Plus, although I have heard a lot of fans of the books do not like the series. So I'm guardedly
I will get there to some point. There's a few things I'm trying to wrap up first.
Oh, and I've got another one for you, too. In the next segment, I have got my new favorite show.
Uh-oh.
Which I'm going to pass along to Dave. But just to let you kids know for next week when it comes to movies, I'm going solo. Dave has heard bad things from Mrs. C about the book it's based on. So for movie reviews next week, I will be doing Knock at the Cabin. Dave's passing on it, so...
Based on the book Cabin at the End of the World. So, yeah, my wife read it. Going through, she was giving me updates. And when she got to the end, she threw it down and said, "Why the hell did I waste my time with this?"
I am a big fan of M. Night Shyamalan, so I've seen all his movies. Kind of like you said with the C.J. Box books, there's a couple clunkers in there, but they're always interesting to me. So now there are things I've seen in the previews that I don't like, but I think those are carryover things from the book. Checkbox stuff, let's put it that way. So I in between basketball games this weekend, as I watch the Elite Eight and the Sweet 16, I will watch Knock at the Cabin. Now, for our book review next week, finally, yes, Kev is finishing a book. We're going to be able to review a book together. How about that, Dave?
Which one?
Yeah, I read it 3 months ago, Kev. I'm sure I did.
Let me think back. Yes, Jonathan Kellerman.
The latest Alex Delaware novel, Unnatural History, will be on tap next week on Literary Frenzy. Whether Dave likes it or not, whether he can remember it or not, Tough titties.
There might be 2 next week, or I might push one back.
Yeah, well, once I'm done with this, you're waiting a couple months for my next one. So whatever you're doing is fine with me after that. All I know is next week, Jonathan Kellerman, Unnatural History.
All right, there we go.
All right, one last segment left. Of course, a lot of TV and streaming to discuss. Very important moment of silence. And, of course,
There'd be a couple of other moments of silence in there as well.
Yeah, but this one...
There's one major one.
Came out of the blue, shocked everybody. So Dave and I will be right back for another last segment. Hang on, kids. One quick promo. We'll be right back. In the fortress of solitary justice, 2 brave men hold the fate of the sports world in their hands, with the utterance of a single word: frenzy! These seemingly ordinary men become the maestro and the conquistador, destined to save the world from stupidity on Spotify, Anchor, Google, Apple, and all noble podcast hosts everywhere. Dave and Kev stand for truth, justice, and the frenzy way. All right, kids, time to let you get on with your weekend. But before we do, taping here on the 22nd of March, 2023. This is hitting, of course, March the 25th. Enjoy your weekend, as now you're getting over your hangover.
Now you're fully awake.
You want to watch basketball this weekend? Good for you. You want to go out and, as Steely Dan said, go back, Jack. Do it again like you did last night. Go for it.
Tie another one on. Try and see if you can get that special someone you missed out on the night before.
He's a conquistador, Dave Veit.
He's a maestro, Kevin Crane.
All right, TV and streaming, and we have got to give you our official review of Season 1 of the outstanding Peacock original series, Poker Face.
Such a good show.
Starring Natasha Lyonne. You guys might know her from Netflix's Russian Doll or from
Orange is the New Black.
Yep. Of course, starring as Charlie Cale in this, the human bullshit detector.
Yes, knows when somebody is lying.
Of course, we've talked about this show, one of the shows that we review week in and week out, but now that Season 1 is over, thank God, number 1, we're getting Season 2.
Yes, but the originality of the show, it ties several different ones through the years together, but in a unique way. I love how they show what transpires in the first part. And then as she comes in to piece it all together to solve what actually happened in a Columbo type of way.
Yes, and we've talked about it in the past. This is obviously, number 1, an homage to the old Sunday murder mystery movies of Macmillan and Wife, Columbo, McCloud.
Yeah.
So, but again, a little bit more of an adult situation.
Much. Yeah.
So it's not your parents' Sunday murder mystery, but
no.
Fuck no. Even from the opening logo, every episode looks like the exact same old school logo you would see on one of those shows.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The nostalgia is there in a contemporary setting.
Yep. Now, there is a continuing storyline. Of course, every episode is a mystery in and of itself, a self-contained mystery with a big guest star in every episode.
At least one.
But the final episode, episode 10, tries to bring the continuing storyline that started in episode 1 to a close. And it kind of comes full circle where, it closes.
It closed, but opened up a whole nother can of worms.
Yep. So basically, Charlie's still going to be on the run.
Yep, Charlie will always be on the run. She's kind of like Bill Bixby in The Incredible Hulk.
I like that. Yeah, that's a very good comparison. Yep, always on the run. Yep. So we can look forward to, hopefully, sooner rather than later, season 2. But the way Hollywood works, probably not till what, 2024?
Yeah, with
25?
the way things are going,
Jeez.
as slow as these people move. God.
I give Poker Face a very, very, very strong 3.5 frenzies.
Concurred. Absolutely.
Very close to 4.
Very close to 4. There were a couple things that could have elevated it that they missed out on, but a very, very solid 3.5.
Still going to end up being one of the best shows of the year.
Yeah. If they would have put it on regular NBC network, it would be must-see TV.
But they can't.
But they can't because of the content, and you don't ruin it by doing that. Leave it on Peacock as is.
Yep. All right, so now, of course, one of the shows that we're currently going week by week with is the second season of Perry Mason on HBO.
Yep. Just 3rd episode just came out.
All right, I'm going to confess something to you. It's not as bad as it was with The Last of Us, and it's not as bad as it was with History of the World Part 2, where I'm quitting. But I will say this.
Stop checking the box with Della Street.
I got fed up halfway through episode 3, and I said, I need to take a pause.
Don't need to see her and her new love interest making out in the office.
Not only that, I'm kind of over this, and I have something I heard today, believe it or not, very timely. Number one, what Dave's alluding to is the reason why I had to stop, is because they are pushing this new version of Della Street, the lesbian Della Street, number one, way too hard in season 2 as opposed to season 1. And then also, they are trying to make her character so brilliant, so much smarter than Perry.
Yeah,
she's always bailing Perry. I'm getting a little sick of that as well.
Yeah.
Here's something I heard today, which is applicable here with Perry Mason. Somebody was talking about Hollywood and said, what Hollywood is doing right now, and we could even take this to Poker Face and say, we hope they don't do this in season 2. But what this person said was, what they're doing with Hollywood right now, they're putting their best foot forward with season 1 of these shows. They're putting out the best scripts possible. They're putting out the stuff that will draw the biggest audience in. And then once they get to season 2 and get the renewal,
then they're going to push their agendas.
You said it. Yep. And that's what we're seeing
now
with Perry Mason.
Right now. Unfortunately, with The Last of Us, they waited until 3 episodes into season 1 to start pushing.
Yeah, and that's why I didn't even finish season 1, is because it got to the point where I just got sick of it. Over and over, every episode had some kind of an agenda. Now, I will watch Perry Mason. I will keep going with it for a while, as long as this is it, with the Della Street lesbian agenda crap. But if they keep going with this and going with this,
if this
it's
continues
going to ruin
to be
that for
the
me
central point of the story, I want nothing to do with it. The focus should be on the mystery and solving the crime, not on her love life.
And I said, I don't mind what they're doing with Paul Drake. I find this to be a very interesting twist, as opposed to the original Paul Drake, who was basically just Perry Mason's right-hand man.
Yeah.
From the get-go. Here, yes, you do have a little bit of societal conflict going. I don't mind it.
No, it works.
And Paul Drake is getting kind of pushed to the background in this.
Because of the whole Della Street storyline.
Right. So we'll see where it goes. But right now, 3 episodes in, I am not enamored with where Perry Mason's going right now.
No. Matthew Rise, of course, is fantastic.
But again, they're making him out to be a
being
schlub now.
A schlub. Not... He's a...
Nobody's asking him to be
this
Raymond Burr, but at the same time, you've got to give him...
He is the title character, and he is not being given title character status in the show.
He's being made out to be a buffoon. And I don't like it. Like you said, is it Perry Mason or is it Della Street? Are we going to change the name of the damn show?
If you're going to do it now, don't call it Perry Mason, because that's not where it's going at this point.
Yeah, I've just never seen a show that treats its lead character so badly as this show is starting to treat Perry Mason.
Yeah, it's not good.
All right, let's move on to the CW. The last gasp.
God help us.
The last gasp on the CW for DC when it comes to TV shows, Gotham Knights. Now, Gotham Knights airs every Tuesday, so I have not watched episode 2 yet.
Neither have I.
But I did watch episode 1. I will say this. This is the best I've seen from the CW and the DC shows in quite a while. Now, that's not saying a ton.
That doesn't say a lot.
It's better than, let's put it this way, it's better than the Winchesters.
Oh, hands down.
Better than the Winchesters. And I never thought I'd say that because, of course, how we love Supernatural. The Winchesters, that first couple episode run was so disappointing.
So bad we bailed.
You got to stick through the entire first episode. When you get to the last couple minutes, it gets a little bit edgier, a little bit creepier.
The intensity is there.
And it gives you
that
hope.
Hooks you into thinking they may have something again.
Yeah. It has a little bit of a tie-in to the Fox Gotham show in that there was a season in Gotham involving the Court of the Owls.
Yes.
And now, even though this is kind of happening in a different DC universe, a little bit in the future.
Yeah, the Court of Owls have reappeared.
Yes, and the Court of Owls is I want to say a latter-day creation in the comic book universe, but they've become very important over the last 20 years or so in the Batman mythology, so it's very cool to see them making an appearance again here right off the bat in Gotham Knights. Now, you can take the individual characters for what they're worth. I liked the Joker's daughter.
She had that. She rode the fine line of intelligence and insanity and violence just at the surface, ready to break through. I thought she was the most solid character.
I think she was the showcase character. I think, like we're
Hands
talking
down.
about how Perry Mason is focusing on Della Street, I think they're trying to make her out to be the star of this whole thing. And that's fine because I didn't really get much of an impression from Bruce Wayne's adopted son.
Kind of a milquetoast.
I did like Robin.
Yeah, she was very good.
See, again, we can accept change. We can accept differences if they're done well. The other two characters, the brother and sister, there's still something there. We're trying to figure out what their background is, who they're linked to,
and why.
So I will say, at least I'm moderately encouraged through one episode.
I'm intrigued to keep going to see where they're going to go with it.
Yeah,
I'm not poo-pooing it. I liked it. I liked the first episode. It hooked me.
Yep. So I'm with you on that. I'm going to keep watching.
And I went in with serious trepidation.
Oh, I did too, considering the crap that the CW's been putting out, especially with the DC stuff. All right. Yes, I always recommend stuff to Dave. I know I can be overbearing. I can be pushy. I'd like to think that most of the time when I am, though, outside of the Dave Matthews Band,
Bastard.
I do a pretty good job. This one is for Dave and his boys because I know the kind of stuff they like. I stumbled upon
The
this.
sick, twisted degenerates that we are.
Yes, that's why this show is perfect for you guys. Perfect. I stumbled upon this, just debuted, I believe, last Friday on Netflix. Now, I've had discussions with your boys about animation, and they watch all that DC animated stuff, and I've told them, I said, I think it all looks the same. That's why I don't get into it. I don't like it. I like my animation a little bit different, a little bit edgier, or just something different, something unique, something eye-catching, not the same old, same old. Of course, we all love the Venture Brothers.
And I am Connor. My oldest has finished the 7th season on HBO Max. I am about halfway through season 7.
Well, this show is very reminiscent of the Venture Brothers. Again, Netflix just premiered this past week. Agent Elvis. 10-episode animated series, the late 60s version of Elvis Presley, who has somehow been brainwashed without him knowing it into becoming a fighting machine, trying to keep America clean and safe from drugs and debauchery. Voiced by Matthew McConaughey as Elvis, with his sidekick played by Johnny Knoxville, and his menacing chimpanzee Scatter. Agent Elvis follows us through with guest stars like Howard Hughes, Richard Nixon, Charles Manson. It's blood, it's guts, it's cursing.
Oh, that's
it is some of the funniest stuff you will hear. I am 3 episodes in. I am almost tempted to slow down because I don't want to blow through it too quickly because I'm enjoying it so much.
Oh my God.
I mean, they talk about the moon landing, the fake moon landing. I mean, this is all in the first 3 episodes.
Oh God, that's great.
Your boys and you will love Agent Elvis. I am telling you.
Oh God.
You will love it.
There we go.
It is. If you guys don't like this, I'm disowning you guys. I am done with you. Agent Elvis is so kick-ass. It is ridiculous. And believe it or not, created by Priscilla Presley.
Really?
Her name is front and center on it. Yeah.
Damn. All right. Well, didn't Elvis supposedly have ties to the FBI?
I think that's what it's playing off of. It's playing off of that whole rumor from back in the day, and it's kind of taking it to another level. So if we're gonna play into that rumor, let's take it all the way. Let's turn it up to 10.
Go all in.
Yep. In the animation, like I was saying, alluding to, is so cool and so unique, and it's very visually stunning to me. I thought it was great animation. It's great all around.
Excellent.
So
very cool.
I recommend Agent Elvis to everybody out there, and to this guy sitting to my right, the Conquistador.
There we go.
All right, couple of little news tidbits here before we move on. I am pissed off!
What, you?
I knew this was coming! I said this was coming! I did not ask for YouTube to buy the NFL Sunday ticket, did I? Did I say I wanted the NFL Sunday ticket on YouTube?
No. You said do not do this because I don't want my rates to go up.
Well, guess is what's fucking happening next month.
Your rates are going up.
$8 a month. YouTube TV going up from $65 to $73 a month. Nothing added, nothing extra.
Just so they can pay for the NFL Sunday ticket.
You got to be an absolute fucking moron not to realize that's what we're paying for.
If they're not adding anything.
And we're not, you goddamn well know we're not getting the Sunday ticket. We're going to have to pay extra for it. But on top of that, we got to pay more just for the base package, where a couple months ago, you told us we don't get MLB Network anymore.
Bastards.
They screw you everywhere.
So why the hell am I considering going to YouTube TV now?
I'm going to start looking at this thing. I don't like this. This is a Bush League bullshit move. And I knew it was coming. That's the worst part. I knew it was coming. Now, you and I, in the past, sometimes agree, sometimes we've had our differences about domestic violence. I don't like the fact that you can throw somebody under the bus, cancel them,
without evidence.
Now, I think this might have been something I discussed on an episode where you were out, but the co-creator of Rick and Morty, Justin Ryland, after almost 2 years being basically pushed aside from the show, kicked out, canceled, the domestic violence charges that got him in trouble in the first place, they've been dropped.
Oh, gee.
After destroying his life. And again, legitimate, if the police witness this, if it's seen, if it's documented, throw him in jail. But I'm getting tired of this crap where a woman or a man can just destroy somebody's life because they're vindictive and they didn't get their way and they didn't get what they want monetarily or whatever.
Yeah, well, you got that, was it in Tennessee? That psycho teen chick who accused 3 or 4 random guys of trafficking her. She beat herself, destroyed their lives to the point where they were in jail and they were considering suicide because of all the threats against them. And, she made everything up.
And, of course, you can go all the way back to the Duke scandal that Rolling Stone ran with that was complete and total false. All right. Last one, we move on. Remember I told you don't get your Hulu preview?
Right.
Because History of the World Part 2 sucks so much?
Jamie backed that up. He and his wife Christie watched it and they said it was so bad that they bailed after only a couple of the episodes.
Yep.
He said, don't waste your time.
Well, now I got a reason where maybe you should get the Hulu preview after all. I think we might have talked about this a while back. April the 20th on Hulu. The new movie from Broken Lizard called Quasi. Of course, their take on
God. Not the bell ringer of Notre Dame.
You know what the tagline is? Every day is hump day. That one.
Oh my God.
If this disappoints me, if this doesn't make me laugh, I quit. Love my Broken Lizard guys. Waiting for Tacoma FD to come back.
They left a major cliffhanger.
Supposedly, eventually, we're getting another season. But for now,
Quasi.
on Hulu, Quasi.
God,
April
who's
the
going to
20th.
play Quasimodo?
I know who, but I'm not going to tell you.
Oh, Lord. I'll have to look it up.
You have to look at the poster to see who's playing.
I'll look it
There's
up.
The Pope's on there. And
I've got a suspicion of who it will be.
All right, of course, moments of silence.
Major one.
Only 60 years old, great actor. Appeared in The Wire, in Bosch, in Fringe, and of course, with John Wick coming out this weekend, he was Sharon the concierge at the Continental Hotel.
Lance Riddick passed away unexpectedly. God.
I mean, we're talking unexpectedly. He was active gaming, social media, everywhere, just hours before he passed away.
Yep. Thoughts and prayers to all of his family and friends and fans. Just devastating. Couple of others. Clarence Fuzzy Haskins, co-founder of Parliament Funkadelic. Sorry. Sang tenor, played drums and guitar. Thoughts and prayers to the family and friends there. And then Wayne Sweeney, guitarist for Saliva, suddenly passes away here today at 59 from a brain hemorrhage. Scary. You never know, kids. Thoughts and prayers to his family and friends.
And also, even though it's not a moment of silence, and we hope it doesn't become one anytime soon, thoughts and prayers go out to Sam Neill, of course. Yep. Jurassic Park disclosed here recently in his book that he has stage 3 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So hopefully he will get over that.
Yep. And then continued thoughts and prayers to Bruce Willis as he's dealing with his ongoing issues. Things are not looking good for him.
His birthday and all the things that were posted, and just very sad. And when if he passes, that's going to be huge. I mean, just we always talk about that, and it's sad that we talk about that, but there's certain people, certain actors, certain icons when they pass that they really give you pause, and you start looking back at all the career works that have made you laugh and cry, and he'll be one of those.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, not enough to play dumbass or not, but a couple Red Foreman dumbasses to close out the weekend edition. It seems like we are having a lot of issues with game shows lately. And I'm not even talking about this whole thing with Pat Sajak and the wrestler. There was some kind of video from a Wheel of Fortune episode here recently where some contestant who claimed to be a professional wrestler and Pat Sajak tried to put him in like a full Nelson or something. Not even going there, but no.
No, Jeopardy has reared its ugly head. Ewan Gregor was allowed to be a correct answer. It's Ewan McGregor, not Gregor.
And that wasn't even the one I was going for, although I knew about that one as well.
Yeah, that was the one that full on led to somebody winning when they shouldn't have.
I was going with the Jeopardy episode where, due to a technical glitch,
yeah, this one too.
They showed the final scores during the opening monologue on the March 9th episode.
Yep, where they had to re-record the monologue and forgot to erase the scores. That's pretty bad.
This kind of goes to what you and I always talk about with the books that we read.
That there's such a lack of accountability. Nobody pays attention to the details anymore.
Nobody fixes their mistakes. The BBC has had to apologize for something, and I don't know why. They were filming a documentary, and the presenter, his name was Emil Rajan, was speaking in the back of a taxi. He didn't have a seatbelt on. So the BBC had to apologize profusely for having a segment in this documentary where the presenter didn't have a seatbelt on in the back seat of a taxi.
Was he just sitting there, or were they actually driving? What does it matter?
Can we get over this stuff? Can we get over this?
Just let it go. My God. Oh.
Again, here on Sports Frenzy, we don't apologize. We say what we mean, and we mean what we say. Finally, Another Hollywood whining actor to close out the weekend edition. This is a guy, I never thought he was a great actor, but he's been nominated for 2 Oscars. He's been in the industry for 30 years, appears in the Bomb last week, the Shazam debacle. Diamond Hunsu. He's been in Blood Diamond.
Who?
He's been in a lot of stuff. He says, I feel cheated and I don't think I've ever been paid fairly.
Oh, that jerkwad. He's a minor bit guy. You don't know. You are not star status. Suck it up, deal with it, and move on.
If I have to listen to one more
Candy ass.
goddamn candy ass is a great way to put it. Goddamn candy ass, whining, rich Hollywood celebrity. Well, then we won't have any dumbasses of the week anymore.
I would be fine with that.
Wouldn't that be? The world would be a better place once the weekend edition of Sports Frenzy doesn't have any Red Foreman dumbasses of the week. Then we finally achieve nirvana, right?
There you go.
And guess what?
It'll
Never
never
gonna happen.
frickin' happen.
He's the conquistador, Dave Hynde.
He's the maestro, Kevin Crane.
Thanks again for tuning in to another awesome episode of the Weekend Edition. Check out Sports Edition every Thursday morning, and we will see you back here next Saturday. Bye, kids.